Hello AEM community, welcome back to another HelpX video. In today's video we're going to discuss how to create an HTL component that uses both Sling models and is able to parse a web page. The API we're going to use to parse a web page is JSoup. So part of the explanation of this video is how to embed custom API into a HTL component that uses Sling models and then parse an external web page and display the results. So here we're looking at the AEM community. This is a place where community members will come and post questions. However, we're going to use this as our example web page in today's video. So notice here on the top contributors column we have different images. The component's going to be able to parse the images from this web page and then display it within a HTL AEM component. Let's take a look at a live example. So we're going to open up XD Lite. We're going to go to under content to a sample page. We're going to click this and we should see all of the images. So as you can see, here's all the images parsed from that web page that we just viewed. So this is using, like I explained at the intro, JSoup to parse the images from the page, and then it sets back logic using the Sling models and then displays it in the front end. We're going to go through how to put all this together using Java, Sling models, HTL, and then finally write it out to the front end. So we're going to quickly look at the files we have in the front end under apps. We simply have a base project. We have components, we have a template, simply one template content page. It's pointing back to our page here. Here we've broken our page into several files, which is nice. We've also, you can see that we're using HTL to pull in other pieces. So if you're not familiar with that, take a look at how this works. So we've got, notice that we have data sli include, and then we're referencing other pieces here. So this is good to understand. Then we have our component with our parser, and underneath we have HTL component, and you can see that it's calling into a backend. So the fully qualified Java class it's calling into is com, my company, my project, components, core, models, and parser. We're going to go through how to build this backend first, and then we're going to come back and look further on the front end. So at this point in the article, we should be here. We're going to build a Maven 10 archetype project. So we're going to start by copying this command from the article, paste it into our command prompt. So when prompted for parameters, we're going to enter in the HTL model, and then the package, simply going to put in com AEM community. The rest of the values we're going to put in HTL model. Then when prompted for Y, hit Y. Next, change the working directory to the new project we just created. Whoops. HTL model. Now what we want to do is run another Maven command. It's going to convert it into an Eclipse project. So once this is successful, we can pull it into Eclipse, and then we can build out our Java classes and modify our POM files. So there you go, we have a successful build. So once we pull the project into Eclipse using File, Import, and then we're going to browse to where we just built our project. You can see that we have the project under HTL model core. So because we're going to be using Sling models in this video, we're going to put it under the package com, my company, my project, components, core models. By default, we'll have another Java class there named Hello World Model. We can just ignore it, just leave it there. So what we want to do is put in two new classes. One is called Date Parser and one is called Parser. So notice the Parser class. This is the entry point into our back end. So notice, there's a few things to notice. First off, we're not using a class that extends WCMU's POJO like most of our other HTL videos. In this video, we're going to be using Sling Models. So by doing this, what we need to do is use the @Sling annotation. So this is going to allow us to then, from our front end, use this back end as a Sling model. Next, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using these inject and @name parameters, and then we're going to be pulling in the value that the author entered into the dialog. So look at address, imp, and link. These will all line up with the values, and this is, I'm using a classic UI dialog today. But if you look at the name here for this text area, so notice X type is text area, it's .address. Likewise, link is link, and then image is image. So all these are lining up with the @inject and then @name annotations. So that's how you can use Sling Models to use Sling Model annotations to get values that an author entered into the dialog. So now we're in the date parser class. So you can see that we're using the JSoup API. So here's all the import statements. So this class contains different pieces of functionality to allow us to perform the operations that we want to embed into our component. So notice that we have a method named parse links, and it's going to return a list object where each element is a string, and it takes that URL. So the URL is obviously points in our example back to the AEM form. So notice that we're creating simply a list object here using the new operator, creating an array list, and then we're going to go use our doc parser object, and it's going to go through with the URL and it's going to select all the hrefs, and we're going to go through here and parse out the links. Likewise, we have further down we have Parse Images, and it's going to be getting all the images on the web page. So you can look at the JSoup documentation for more explanation on what we're actually doing here, but we're just using the JSoup API to parse out the different pieces of the web page. So we have links, we have images, and so forth. So it's putting into a collection, and it's then going to be going back to the other class. It's going to be setting up the collection so that we can pass it back to the front end. So notice here we have, for example, images, get images, and it's going to be returning a list of a string where each string will resolve to an image that we parsed from the web page. Likewise, we have links here, and so all this is ultimately displayed in the front end. So more information about the annotations for Sling Models, I recommend going here that we've linked off the article. Read all of the background information here. Read some more of the explanation that we have in this article. Next thing we need to do is we've got to wrap the JSoup jar into AEM. The reason we need to do this is because by default this library isn't part of AEM, so we've got to put it in an OSGI bundle and we've got to deploy it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Intego Eclipse version. We use this. It's pretty much, I find, the best version to properly set the manifest file. Follow this procedure. It's going to give you a wrapped jar file that contains the JSoup bundle, and then you're going to manually deploy it to AEM. So if we go back to the web console, taking a look at what we have in our deployed OSGI bundle section. You can see here, here's the JSoup bundle. And so notice under exported packages, it's exporting all of the JSoup API that we need. So we go back here to the main bundle, and you can see JSoup here is being resolved from bundle 447. So this is serving up all the dependencies that we need to be able to successfully use JSoup within our AEM service. So it's really important that you understand that. You've got to, for whatever bundle that one OSGI has dependency on, another one has to export it. This is pretty much one of the most common understandings of AEM development and working with OSGI bundles. And if you need to know how to go through and deploy that, read this step by step, and then wrap that jar file, the JSoup jar file, and then deploy it so you have it in active state. Otherwise, your application is just not going to work. So the next POM file is under a project. So we have HTML core, POM. Notice that we have these dependencies. So we have the Uber jar. We have this dependency that's required. And then notice that we have the JSoup one. So it can compile the logic that contains the JSoup API. So copy both these dependencies from the article into your POM, both the POM files, and then we're ready to build. So what I want to do now is modify two POM files. So I want to take this dependency in the article. We want to put it right into line 380 of our main POM file, around 380, 386. Save it out. So once again, our POM file is here under our base project. The next one is we can modify from Eclipse. So this stage, all we want to do is simply deploy both these bundles. So bundle 1 is HTML model core, and bundle 2 is our JSoup bundle. Once you have both these bundles in an active state, we're ready to invoke this from the front end. So getting back to the front end, notice that we have HTML code here, and then we're using, notice that we have some data slide use. And then our first one is V, and then we're mapping this to our parser class that we've created earlier in this video. So going back, looking at our Java, it's mapping to this class that's using our Sling Models. And what this is going to do, it's going to return links. This one here is going to return the lists, and then finally the last one is going to return images. So notice that in each one we're using a collection because it's returning a list. So right here we have data slide lists, images, and then for each item in the list it's going to loop through and it's just going to put in a new image source that's going to resolve to the image. So we end up with getting an unordered list of images that we've parsed from the web page. So this concludes today's video. I hope you've learned something new on how to work with HTL and Sling models, and then how you can use JSoup within your component to perform web manipulations. Thank you for watching.